Or good morning in some cases. Thank you guys for trickling in. We've still got a couple minutes before noon before we kick things off officially. So just wanted to say hello, and then I will chime back in here in about 2 more minutes. Looks like a few more folks have joined. We're just going to give this another minute or two before we get started. Thanks so much for joining. Oh, it looks like a question from Cassandra that she cannot hear us. Let's see if anyone else cannot hear, or if you can hear, let us know just so we can do a little tech check there. Okay, thank you, Elena, for responding that you can hear. Thanks so much. And those of you that had just recently joined us, we are going to go ahead and get started, but just did want to do a little tech check here. If you are unable to hear us, there is an audio tab, so you should be able to click the audio tab and turn the audio on from there. There's also a phone number listed if you would like to try to call in as well. There is a questions and chat box. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to pop a question or a chat into the box, and I will try to monitor that as we go through. But we will go ahead and get started. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. I was really excited as I saw attendees register and realized that we had over 14 states from 14 different states are represented, with lots of districts joining. Some are current Givebacks clients, so welcome. And they just wanted to learn more about some of our new offerings. And then we also have several other districts that are just interested in general in learning more about Givebacks. So thank you guys again for joining. Just to run through our agenda for today, we'll start with a little bit of background about who is Givebacks. Some of you may know and some of you may not have as much context. So just wanted to kind of give that quick little overview. And then really kind of the purpose of today's presentation is to really dive into how much fragmented technology is out there as it associates to payment technology. And what we've really seen in the market since COVID, as far as how many different platforms there are flowing in and around the schools when it relates to dollars and transactions. So we'll kind of talk a little bit more about what we're seeing in the K-12 industry in that regard, which has really led Givebacks to grow into a platform that is able to really streamline a lot of that technology. And I've got some stories that I want to tell about how we got here and really what drove us to provide this additional technology to really meet our customers' demands and what they were needing as far as various ways to collect payments across their campuses. And then the bulk of today, I really just want to dive in and go live. Really excited about these different modules that over the past 12 months we've integrated into our system. And I want to do a sneak peek and let you guys see and take a look at really how the program has evolved and how it's running live today. I saved some time at the end for a little Q&A, but please feel free along the way to ask questions. Happy to kind of be engaged here. So I'll be watching the chat, and some of the questions I may weave in answers along the way, and some of them I may save and run through at the Q&A at the end. So definitely make this interactive. This is a presentation for you guys, so feel free to jump on in. And then at the end, I'm excited to kind of share what's next, because this is a webinar series, and excited to kind of share what the next session will be that follows this one. So just to start off with something light, just to make sure you guys are out there and our tech is working and you can hear me okay and you're able to interact okay. We are in October, so thinking Halloween candy. I know we bought some too early at my house for my kids, so we've been having to try not to eat too much so we have enough left over for Halloween. But super curious what everybody's favorite Halloween candy based on the 5 that are listed here. I'm going to select a poll, and then once I click launch, you'll be able to go in and just click. Super curious to see what's your favorite. Are you more of a chocolate type person, or do you lean more towards the sour? So it looks like I had a feeling that Reese's would probably take the lead. It's looking like that is the front runner, with a surprising second coming in with the Sour Patch Kids, and then a tie between Snickers and Twix, and then M&M's coming in last. M&M's are actually my favorite, so that's interesting, but definitely see that one. But looks like Reese's with 39% takes the lead. So if you're going out and buying Halloween candy, sounds like you're going to need to choose Reese's. That's the crowd favorite. So thank you guys for participating in that. So I'll go ahead and close that poll. All righty. So a little bit about Givebacks, for those of you that are not familiar. Givebacks began in 2008 primarily as a PTA management software and providing compliance to state PTAs. And as a company, we have 44 state contracts with state PTAs, so that those organizations are required to submit annual compliance documents all the way up to the state level, as well as pay their membership dues up to the state. And from there, really the program just took off and really started to grow from there, providing a full online payment, online store option for these parent organizations, as well as a full fundraising suite. And then about 5 years ago, we really saw the need over on the K-12 side. So we've expanded not just in the parent organization, those 501c3s, but really focusing in on the school district and the school dollars, individual school dollars flowing in and around the schools. And that's where we're really seeing our growth over the next, what's kind of come. You'll see here we have 52 new district partners over the past 2 years. Yes.
Real quick, we can see the poll. We do not see your slide deck.
Oh, thank you for that. A little technical difficulty there. Let's see. Now, Tara, can you see my screen okay?
I still see the poll.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. Okay. Let me go back here. All right, what do you see now?
You.
Oh, hi, everybody. Okay.
And then
now, okay, I'm so sorry. We're having some technical difficulties here today. Let me, you said you see my desktop.
Yeah, that's okay. It was just all the talk of the candy. I got you all excited.
You just got me all excited. Okay, let me see here. I just had that. Sharing screen. One more click, you guys. I'm so sorry. Bear with me here. Okay, I think we're back. Tara, check there.
All good.
Yay. Okay, thank you. So sorry, guys. Technology is great when it works, and then when it's user error, I can't really blame anything else but myself on that. So thanks for bearing with me on that. So again, just with the Givebacks here with the background, was just talking about the 52 new district partners, and really excited that that spreads over 14 different states. So where we started in the Southeast, and now we are all the way across the country, and have school districts in California, Texas, and Montana. So really excited about our presence there. One thing that this quote here from Garrett Radin from Knox County Schools was able to share with us, he has a really neat story. So that was one of the first K-12 district clients that came on board with Givebacks. And he really is a main reason, one of the reasons that we really started expanding into other modules and other platforms to collect payments. Where they started was on the compliance and fundraising management side, and then really grew over into all of the different modules that we offer. And most recently have launched our student activity fees module. And he shared a really interesting stat just this past week, that after launching all of the different modules and giving parents one location to go to pay for fees, fundraisers, spirit wear, ticketed events, everything in one location, their revenue has actually increased since July 1 to the current date by 5%. And he really attributed that to having parents have an easier experience there to go in and make these payments. So just thought that was a really neat statistic to share. So that's about Givebacks. And then thinking a little bit more about this fragmented technology and kind of what we've seen in the market. And since COVID, we really noticed that a lot of districts had to kind of quickly go out and make decisions around technology and around payment platforms to be able to have options for parents to pay no longer in person and give them an option to have that contactless payment. And what happened with that is districts ended up with a different vendor for activity fees, a different vendor or multiple vendors for fundraising, different vendor for ticketed events and point of sale. And it's just really ballooned since the past 5 years. And that's really what we've kind of started to notice. And in the past year, what the feedback we're receiving is that not only school districts, but parents alike are becoming frustrated with that fragmented technology. And so that's really what we're here to help solve for as a company, is streamline that and give parents and bookkeepers and district administrators the ability to kind of house all of that under one umbrella if that's a desire. So again, digging in a little bit more on this thought process is, as we were doing research around this topic, we started to really look into the different areas that kind of float around a school that take different payments. And when you think about it, we hear technology providers that maybe are taking payments for Chromebooks or additional laptop chargers or damaged fees, insurance, things like that. But then there may also be different vendors for just crowdfunding. That's another area that we're seeing really on the rise as budgets we're seeing declining, no more ESSER funds, and just the uncertainty there at the federal level, really having to lean more heavily on fundraising dollars, unfortunately. And so seeing how many of those fundraising vendors are flowing in and around your schools. And then not to mention events and ticketing, point of sale, and then how all of that really flows through into the school makes it really difficult at a district level to be able to monitor and manage all of these funds. So when you zoom out and you think of your school district, we've got districts on the line that have, I think our largest district that registered was Cobb County, Georgia, with 110 schools. And then we had some of our smaller districts with about 3 or 4 schools. Regardless, if you think about zooming out, even our little districts with 3, 4, and 5 schools, it could look like this slide, where each school has running their own different platforms and using different vendors. And then even thinking about your booster clubs and outside organizations, that compounds the number of vendors that are being used out there. And interestingly, a school district that I spoke with about 2 weeks ago, they were really frustrated. It was the finance department that I was speaking with. Well, the athletic department had gone out and signed contracts with a fundraising vendor unbeknownst to the finance team. And so some of these decisions are starting to be made, and then not everybody is on the same sheet of music. So that's really something that we're hoping to help solve for. So this may look familiar, and just wanted to get your mind thinking, because we do have one more poll coming up on the next slide, and I'll try not to screw that one up with my screen share. But start thinking about that. Like in your schools, if you think about all the different payment vendors that I've been talking about across your campuses, how many do you think that is within your school district? And I put just a few of these up here. These are ones we come across often. And, while each individual one may provide, a good service, it's just hard to really oversee all of that. It just makes that become impossible at a district level. And then oftentimes it leads to paying too much. The fees that some of these vendors charge are, gosh, I'll see 20, 30, and in some cases even 40% on every dollar is being charged in fees. I have heard from some school districts, they'll say, well, we leave the fundraising up to the principal. And while I understand that in theory, principals aren't generally business minded. And so they don't necessarily dig into what fees are being charged for all of these various fundraising platforms. And so until you bring that to their attention and that there could be another solution, that's not necessarily top of mind for them. And so one thing I'm also really excited to roll out, and we're going to be announcing this more formally, but since you guys are here, you're going to get kind of a little bit of a sneak peek of some things we have coming up for the end of this year and beginning of 2026. We're actually going to be rolling out a rebate model so that you're able to, as a district, actually save basis points on transactional volume for the more modules that you use. You will be credited back and actually receive rebates and lower basis points on these transactional fees. So just something to tuck away. We'll certainly dig into that a little bit more later, but just wanted to share with you guys. I was really excited that that's kind of gotten in the works right now. All right, so it's poll time. How many payment technology systems do you think are flowing in and around your school district? And I'll launch the poll in just a second, but 0 to 2, do you have 3 to 5? Or many of you, if you think about all the fundraising on top of the other platforms, you may have 6+. So let's take a look here. I'm going to really try hard not to mess this one up. But let's go here and we're going to click on launch, and that should launch the poll. Tara, you're my tech check if something's not working, but it looks like results are coming in, and the majority are landing in the 3 to 5 tech systems here. We'll give it another second to vote. And at that point, we will close it. And it looks like 53% have landed in the middle there with the 3 to 5 systems. And then 25% of you actually have 6+ systems. So I can only imagine that that would be challenging to be able to see and monitor all of those different technology systems there. So excited to dig in here. All right, Tara, I'm going to try my best here to get the screen share back. Let's see if did it result back? Are we still, can you see my?
Yep, we saw the results, but okay. Now, there you go, you're good, you're good.
Okay, thank you so much. All righty. So thank you guys for participating in that. I think that really lays some good groundwork for the rest of the discussions that we're going to have this morning. So just a couple more points that I want to dig into before we really get to the fun part where we can dig in and go live and take a peek at what we do have to offer here as a Givebacks platform. So when you think about the benefits of consolidating your payment tech stack, it's really threefold. It's not just a benefit to the admin level or just the school level or just the parent level. It's actually a benefit to all three. And when we think about those benefits from an administrative layer, that's where you're going to gain the district-wide oversight. You are going to be able to ensure that every dollar is flowing through to the correct bank account and is tagged to the correct GL account, making your reconciliations that much easier and your audit trails that much tighter. So that visibility at the district level is paramount when you're able to really streamline the platforms that you're using for all of these dollars. And then being able to have consolidated reporting on the back end to include all of those different modules there instead of piecemealing them from various different platforms. Then the benefit at the school level, that's going to make it easier for your bookkeepers. We talked about reconciliation and really being able to track those dollars and crediting them to the right GL account, so that the teacher that wanted to fundraise or the coach that wanted to fundraise knows exactly how much money was raised and hit their GL ledger and how much money they have to work with. But also just unifies it for the back end, as far as also creating items and campaigns and ticketed events. There's only one login that the bookkeepers are going to have to worry with, and then only one platform that they're going to have to work with their staff, the teachers and the coaches. Being able to really unify all of that just helps to drive adoption, is what we've seen. And then third, the one that I think gets overlooked the most, and I can speak to this one personally. I've got twins that are now in 6th grade, and trying to manage all of the different platforms. They are wanting to go to a football game after school and figuring out the ticketing for that, and then paying a field trip somewhere else can be challenging. And so being able to give parents more of a one-stop shop goes back to that stat I mentioned earlier about the 5% increased revenue in Knox County, because once the parent is already in there, whether they're logging into the app or they're going to their desktop and making purchases, they're able to see across all the schools. They may have kids at multiple schools. They may have different fundraisers and activity fees and tickets, and they can take care of that all in one transaction. So really being able to provide value here at all 3 levels, I think, is pretty critical. Again, feel free if there's any questions. I'm still kind of monitoring the chat and questions. Feel free to jump anything in there as well. All right, last slide before we get to the fun part and really go live here. So when we think about the Givebacks all-in-one solution, what's been really neat to see is we really meet the client where they are. We have some districts that are just interested in 1 or 2 pieces that we have to offer. Some districts want to jump in with both feet and just roll everything out together. And then the third thing that I see, and probably the most common, is starting with your biggest pain point and then working through the system from there as those needs arise. And that's kind of the story that I want to tell today as I go live through our system. I want to actually tell the Knox County story. They began at the very top. If we'll look at the 12 o'clock here with fundraising management, that was their biggest pain point, being able to manage and oversee all of their fundraising requests coming in. So then that would be really the biggest area there for them where they started. And then once they started automating their approval workflow for the schools, they really leaned into the fundraising module of Givebacks and being able to have their schools run campaigns, whether that is a teacher overseeing a crowdfunding for their classroom, a coach for the football team, or any other club or class or school-wide fundraiser, being able to ensure that all those dollars are flowing through to the correct bank account and not tied to a personal Venmo or a personal PayPal account, where we know teachers have the best intentions and coaches and so on, but just being able to guarantee that those dollars are making it to the correct bank account. Then from there, Knox really started to kind of see the value of bringing everything in under one roof. And so they added the online store with the guest payment. That's something that we hear often, is having the ability to have an online store that doesn't require logins and doesn't require username and passwords. We find that not everything needs to be kind of behind a user login wall, because sometimes that deters payments. You might have someone from the community that just wants to go in and buy a sweatshirt. They don't need an account and a login and all of that. They just want to go in and purchase. Or they may want to attend a baseball camp that the baseball team is doing, and they're not necessarily associated with a student at the school. They just want to go in and pay. So that's where Knox County moved to next, was having all of their schools have these online stores with the guest pay option. And then that quickly tied into the point of sale. So then not only having the online payment option, but then be able to have the ability to take those in-person payments, which then grew into also what we're seeing a rise in are these career and technical centers, these school-based enterprise. We see at these career and tech centers, there might be things like culinary arts programs is a popular one, where they may have a food truck at the high school and they want to be able to take in-person credit card payments. And our point of sale is able to do that, and also track cash. So they can get a full inventory of, say, also concession stands is a big one. They may want to track all of the inventory, cash, or what's purchased in person with their credit cards. And they're able to do that through the point of sale system. Again, all tying back to those GL account codes. And then what we're excited about that we've actually rolled out this year are our ticketed events and student fees. We've had ticketed events as part of our fundraising platform, but what I'm excited to share today is we've added a full ticketing module so that you have the scanning redemption. It can be used effectively at athletic events, football games, basketball games, and so on. They can be scanned at the gate. They can be shared in different wallets digitally. They can also purchase those tickets at the gate and scan the point of sale or pay cash, and we can monitor it all. So Knox then launched their ticketed events this year, as well as launching the student fees. So really excited that we were able to hear our customers' needs and deliver. And so student fees being kind of our newest module, but I'm excited to show you that as well today. So that's kind of the order in which we're going to go through the demonstration today when we go live. I do see one question came in. Hi, Amy, one of our current customers there from Virginia. She had said, we do not have jurisdiction over our PTOs and booster clubs. If they're interested in obtaining givebacks for their use, do we just send them your contact info? Yes, absolutely. So glad you asked that. And it is interesting, some states like Tennessee and South Carolina have statewide legislation that requires these organizations register annually with the district in order to be in good standing and operate. And then we see other states like Virginia don't have that type of legislation and jurisdiction. But what we're seeing trending to is having these organizations at least register. So you have an idea what organizations there are that are fundraising on behalf of your students in your name, image, and likeness there at your schools. But to answer your question, Amy, absolutely. Have those PTOs and booster clubs reach out to your customer success manager, and that is a free service. They will be able to get a free license of Givebacks because the district is contracted. But in your case, I know that they're totally separate 501c3s, and they will stay that way. And you will not have any oversight over their flow of funds, but they are able to still utilize the Givebacks platform. So thanks for asking that. That was a great question. All right, I am going to exit here, and we are going to go over into a live site. And Knox County was so generous to allow us to be able to use their site. And since they have launched all of our modules, it just shows really well here to be able to see live, you know, how they have gone in and been able to utilize this and bring in everything under one umbrella. So what's unique about the Givebacks platform is that it's built in a hierarchy. So you'll have your school district that sits at the top, and then underneath your school will be all of your schools. And then if we drill down into the actual hierarchy here, we're able to see here in this hierarchy view, all of the schools. Knox County happens to have 96 schools, so their list is long. But underneath each school, this is where we get really unique. If you would like to have your career tech center that maybe is associated with Bearden High School, but they want to run their own separate store to run their own culinary arts program and not necessarily be mixed in with everything that the main school site is doing, the dollars can still flow through to the school's bank account, but they can run their own site and have certain permissioning, so even the students can oversee, for instance, the point of sale collections, but not the ability to refund. So you can put in your own custom permissions there to even allow students to engage with the system that are connected to those programs. Like Tennessee, if your state or district is interested in having your parent organizations at least sit in your hierarchy, just for visibility and the ability to submit those annual registration documents, you can do that. So you can see here at Bearden High School, they have a booster club for just about every different sport. Sometimes we'll see that, sometimes there might just be one athletic booster, but we can manage it however the school is set up. So this particular school has a lot of different clubs. And again, they're all separate and they're running their own separate books and their money is routing to their own separate 501c3 bank account. Just know that that is an option if you are interested. Or like I said, for instance, the dog house here is their spirit shop. And so that's actually run by the school. So those dollars actually flow through up to the high school's bank account. But what I want to go through next here, and again, if there's any questions, don't be shy. Where we're going to start, as I mentioned, was the fundraising compliance piece here, because that's where Knox got their start. So under compliance on the left-hand side, when we our view that we're looking at right now is from a district perspective. So any type of district administrator on your finance team that you would want to have full rights to the system, this is what it would look like. They can create as many forms as they want to that have different approval workflows. We've seen districts get so creative with this. Some will use it for field trip requests. We've seen another Virginia district use it for county car request. If a faculty member is going to a conference and they want to request use of their district vehicle, they can have a form in here that automates that process. So it's up to you to use as many different use cases here for these forms as you can think of. But the primary purpose that we want to talk about today are these fundraising forms. Being able to automate that process and then have it flow all the way through the system. So if you start with your approval workflow, then you can have the fundraiser run through Givebacks and then have a P&L or summary on the back end. And it really ties the oversight from start to finish of all of those fundraisers, giving that district-wide visibility. So for instance, in Knox County, they have a fundraising request form for school-wide fundraisers and a separate one for school-specific fundraisers. I've also seen some districts that have a separate one for nutrition. If the fundraiser involves food during school hours, they want that to route for approval at the nutrition level. So that's something, you can have as many different workflows and different approval levels as you need. But this gives you a dashboard at the district level to see exactly, for instance, there have been 263 approved school-wide fundraisers running through the Givebacks platform this year. You can look back, of course, at previous fiscal years as well. The current dashboard will default to your current fiscal year. You can look and drill down into see maybe why these 4 were rejected. If you want to view all of the submissions, you're able to click View All. And then this is going to show you exactly in the order in which they've come in. If something's been submitted, it's at a lower level to be approved. Once it's been approved, everything in the system is user date and time stamped. So very, very tight audit trails with this. All of these forms are completely customized based on the information that you would want to receive as the district. If there's a contract, for instance, I saw one earlier, it was a Scholastic book fair, and they attached this Scholastic contract here as well. So it keeps all of those contracts nice and organized. And then you can see your history with the user date and time stamps down here at the bottom. So that's just real quick, high level. I just wanted to kind of show you how that would work for fundraiser approval workflows there. There's email notifications along the way. So that way the next person in line will get a notification that they have something to go in and review and either approve or reject. And if something's rejected, it does get sent back down the workflow, and email notifications can go back down to the original submitter so that they can make corrections and resubmit that request. All right, I will pause there for a second as we are going to pivot now and look at the school side. So I want to go in back under my organization and let's look at Bearden High School here. So we will go here to Bearden High School and go to their live site. So what we're looking at now, think about having your bookkeeper hat on. So this is what the bookkeeper would see. They have the ability to customize their own dashboard. One thing I will say about Givebacks that gets me really excited is we're constantly innovating, constantly updating the system and keeping it new and fresh and modern. And so this new dashboard actually rolled out here a couple of months ago, and it allows them to customize it. They can go in and add or remove the widgets that they want to see. They can reorder them. Like I know a big one that a lot of bookkeepers want to see are their recent payouts. And that's just right there front and center. If you want that to be one of your widgets, you can see when each deposit was made and drill down into it from there. So that's the dashboard. Looking into this compliance piece from the bookkeeper side, they're able to go in and submit their own forms if they want to submit a fundraiser request, or if you want a teacher to submit it, they would have the ability to click on Start New Form, fill in the blank, and hit Submit, and off that form goes through the approval workflow process, people getting notified along the way. And then as the bookkeeper or teacher or the sponsor, whoever started the form, they'll be able to see their history at the bottom. So this particular school has just submitted several requests that are being, they're pending at the bookkeeper level. They're on fall break right now, so that's probably why those are still awaiting review by the bookkeeper. But when she gets back to her office next week, we'll be able to go in and review those and move those on through the process. And then you have the ability to look at, previous history, previous years, what's been submitted. So transitioning from kind of the compliance part of the fundraising management to actually the fundraising module, when we look up here at fundraisers, all different kinds of fundraisers. I'm going to keep this really high level for time's sake. We could really get into the weeds with this. But just to kind of show you the different types of fundraisers that Givebacks offers, we have crowdfunding. We have a thons. You think about the booster thons, the jogathons, readathon, where a parent or donor is going to pledge per lap ran or per book read. You can run those a-thons through here. We have ticketed events. That could be for something like a prom or a gala, but also for all of your sporting events. Any type of ticketed event can be run through the system, tickets redeemed by getting them scanned. And then we also have auctions. So silent auctions, you're able to go in, make bids on those. And then you can combine fundraisers together. If you have a crowdfunding event with a silent auction, you can put those two together and make them one campaign. So very flexible, lots of different options here. One thing I would like to call out is we do have a full team that's dedicated to helping. So if you have a teacher, coach, club sponsor, bookkeeper that maybe just wants to brainstorm new fundraising ideas, they could reach out to our customer success team that has so much experience, has worked with schools across the country, that they might be able to say, hey, this worked in this high school, in another state or maybe a neighboring county to yours. You ought to try this calendar fundraiser that was really successful, and they can help get that created and set up. So we encourage our users to really lean on our team to really help them utilize the system to its fullest potential. I will say fundraisers, they don't have to be all run through Givebacks, because you're going to have that Scholastic Book Fair or the Otis Spunkmeyer cookie sale, and they're going to run through those platforms. Perfectly fine. They could still do the approval though through here, so that you at the district level have full visibility into what all the fundraisers are, even if they're not going to run them through the Givebacks platform. So the ones they do run through the Givebacks platform, we'll list here under managing campaigns. Just wanted to show you, just go through one quick example here. If we click on manage campaign, you'll see the back end of how this was created. It's basically a fill in the blank where they're just going to answer questions to build out their custom fundraiser. This is one I wanted to show you that just was live last month in September. But it was an event that also had a silent auction. So one of those that I was talking about where you're combining multiple campaigns into one. So this one, you could bid on auction items or buy event tickets or make a general donation. Again, everything is going to be customized here. If we want to look at the ticketed events, it was a $7 ticket. You can click on view the details and add those to your cart before you check out. If you wanted to take a look at what the, you want to go back home here, if we wanted to take a look at the auction items, we'd click on bid, and they had some really fun stuff. My kids' school is more like these little baskets. These trips look really cool. But anyways, you can go in and make your bids on these, and then set a certain time for it to end, and it'll send out those notifications. So, all right, just wanted to be able to show very quickly, kind of high level, the different types of fundraisers there. That will kind of wrap up this section there on fundraising. And then the next thing we want to move on to that Knox added in was that online store. So with the online store is, think of that as separate from the student fees that we're going to talk about here in just a minute. The online store are things that you would want to sell to the public that you don't need that login for, that a guest could come in and purchase. So in this instance, concession stand items are put in here, as well as that camp that I was talking about. That's a good example, this fall baseball camp. You might want all grades, all community members might want to be able to register for this camp. So when you're adding products to the store, you've got simple fill in the blank. We really try to focus on keeping the system as easy to use as possible, because we all know that if it's challenging, the bookkeeper or whoever's in charge is just not going to do it, and they're just not going to put it online. So we really work hard to try to make this just as simple and user-friendly as possible. You'll note here the basic information with names and prices. The assigned account code is a very big thing here. Every single dollar that flows through Givebacks has the ability to be tagged to a GL account code. That chart of accounts can be uploaded from your accounting system. We can talk through about certain integrations that we have available as well. But we really work hard to track all of this to make the reconciliation a lot easier. So just like to always call out that account code section. And then you have descriptions. Of course, you have images that you can put here. Product options, you can track inventory if you have certain quantities you want to track. And then what's another nice feature here is the ability to customize these fields. You're able to go in and essentially add fields that you would have on a form that needed to be filled out. For instance, this baseball camp. They want to know, whenever someone purchases this, the player's first and last name, what grade they're in, the parent's name and contact information. So in order to check out and make a purchase for that baseball camp, you have to fill in these blanks. So it's unlimited the number of fields that you can go in and add into your products. And then you determine where you want to publish this. You might just want it to show in your online store. You might just want it to show in point of sale, or it could be a private listing. You only want this to be available if you have a direct URL. So then once you do that, then you're able to, get that published. We did have a question there. Somebody asked, could a future enhancement be that other account code options be able to be included? We use dashes and not periods for our account code structures. If I'm not mistaken, that is an open field. Maria, we will follow up on that. I believe you are a current client, I want to say from Ysleta perhaps. So we will follow up with you on that, because I believe that you are able to do that. And if not, we will absolutely put that in as an enhancement request. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. Okay. Then the next thing here, once your products are built out here, then you're going to be, you might want to see what they look like in the front end for the parents, what the store looks like for them. One more thing here that I did want to mention: when you're building your store, you have the ability to edit products, duplicate products, copy QR codes and URLs if you want to send that out, via messengers, or, put QR codes on flyers and so on. So very easy to get the word out there. But looking at this from the parent perspective, when we click on shop, this brings us to our online store. So we have, it can be customized with their own school logo and colors, and then you'll see all the items here that are for sale. That fall baseball camp, you can see here those fields that were required. We'd fill that out, add it to the cart, and the parent could go in and check out. All right. Moving back here, they can search through the different products. And then the nice thing here is fundraisers, ticketed events, everything can flow through here. Again, giving parents that one-stop shop. All right. Moving next, Knox really leaned in from there onto their point of sale. So with the point of sale, it's a device about the size of a deck of cards, and it Bluetooths to either a tablet or a phone. And then whoever's running the cash register would click the items that the person is purchasing, and then they can tap, swipe, insert their card, tap their watch, phone, etc. And then also, as I said, they can track cash payments through here. So it really gives you that full view as to everything that's come in the door for those concessions and different stores that you might be running at your individual schools. So the point of sale has been an interesting, probably we're seeing one of the most interested areas that a lot of our districts actually start with the point of sale and then expand from there because that's their biggest need. So just something to keep in mind there. The last thing I want to touch on before we finish with student fees is ticketed events. So with our ticketed events, under the fundraisers, they would go in and create their ticketed events here by clicking on Get Started and then fill in all of the information that is needed for that ticketed event. You can also upload the calendar of events for the different sporting events. So once you have your schedule, that was the word I was looking for, you can upload your schedules there. So that way you can get all the football games in there and all the information. And then what it looks like for a parent. So if we go back over here to this store, if we click on View All, this is going to take us to a different view. This is what our app looks like. So every parent has the ability to download an app, and then they'd be able to see all the different areas, whether they're the store, fundraisers, tickets, or student fees. They would have that access available in the app, or you could also just browse to here and be able to see that on your desktop as well. So app, desktop, either way, but I do think a lot of the parents really like having the app and keeping everything in one place. So for those tickets, they can click on tickets. They'll see everything at that particular school that has ticketed events available. So if they wanted to purchase some tickets for the football games, all the details are here. They can click on Get Tickets or see the tickets down below, add in their quantity of how many they're purchasing, click on Add to Cart. That'll send them an email with their ticket, but it'll also give them their ticket in their wallet here. So then when they go in and they go to the game, they'll be able to just scan their ticket here and have their tickets in their wallet. Once we look at this app view, this is my personal Givebacks app. So you can see the wallet here, and they'd be able to have in their wallet, if they had tickets, they would be stored in their wallet. You can see that you can attach yourself to multiple schools. If I have kids at different schools, I can go in and be able to see everything that's happening at each individual school. This is an example of one of those career technical centers that has a culinary arts program, and they have a coffee shop. So lots of different things with the app that helps that third layer that we talked about, making it easier for the parents having that one simple place to go. All right, last thing that we really want to focus on, and my personal favorite right now, is the student fees portion, since that's kind of our latest, greatest. When we're looking back here, we are looking down under fee management. So again, this is the bookkeeper view. So under fee management and fees, we would actually create an integration, import, export with your student information system, just like we did here with Knox County. And then that way that student data will flow through into Givebacks so that you can assign those fees, create those obligations. If you have class fees, or for instance, they have a DECA fee, so only these 92 students in DECA need to have that fee assigned to them. So this is where you would go to create new fees and make those assignments. If we were to take a look at this DECA fee, when we click on edit, you're simply filling in the blank, names, account codes, little icons associated. Then you're going to create or put in the amount for that fee. You can decide if that's optional or if that's a required fee. And then if you want to allow partial payments, you can turn that toggle on. So then when you click save and continue, this is where you're going to import that student data and set the criteria. And what we mean by that is you're able to select what grade level, what class, maybe it's a fee the whole school gets assigned to. Maybe you want to upload a specific list of students. It could be a roster for the football team because they all have a player fee that they need to pay. So you would decide and set your criteria that's going to assign that fee to those specific students. You can also add additional students on top of what comes over. If other students individually need to be added or excluded, you can do that as well. And then you'll see the list of all students here. Obviously won't click that, so we don't see their student data, but you can see that 92 students have been assigned to this fee. So when we click save and continue, you're able to give it a date that it's due, and then if it has an expiration date as well, so it will come offline. Then the last thing here, if you want it to send out an email notification, so parents get that email notification if they have a fee that's associated or assigned to their student. And then you have the final review here before you click on publish. It looks like a question came in asking about how the parent gets assigned, and that's a really good question. So automatically, the parents that are associated in your student information system that are already tied to their student will automatically be tied to their student in Givebacks. Then we know there might be a grandparent or a reason to have an additional person associated. They're able to go into their Givebacks app. Let me click here and give me 1 second here. We will click on about, and then you can see this is what the app looks like. So if you wanted to click on student fees, you're able to sign in there and then add your student fee, add your student there. So you'll just need to know basic information that's customized, you know, the unique information for that student, their student ID and birthday, and then you're able to go in and add fees. Also, or add students so that you can see and pay the fees. Here on this app, this is where you would go to do that. Just click on add student, and then it's going to ask you for that follow-up information so that it can make that connection. Great question there. All right. The other thing I just wanted to show, when you're creating a new fee, I was going to show how that criteria gets set. So if we just put in an example here of a field trip and we assign that to an account code, you can search by numbers or letters. I typed in field trip, and then you choose your little icon and we'll save that, put in an amount, we'll make that optional and click on save. So with this criteria here, you can click on add, and then this is where you'll see, however the data is coming over to us from your student information system, if it's by grade, by class, course, they have it also pre-K and athletic groupings as well. So however that data comes over. If this was going to be assigned to a certain grade level, we'd click on grade, and then the appropriate grades would be dropped down there for us to select. So then once we click add criteria, automatically that fee is then going to be added to those students. So try to make that and think through the simplest and easiest way to be able to manage those student fees, because we know that a lot of duties fall on your bookkeepers and they wear a lot of hats, and we really worked hard to make that just as easy as possible. So that is a run through of all of the tech stack consolidation that we have available and that Knox County has sequentially gone through, kind of one module by one module based on what their needs were. Hope you guys that made sense and that you guys find it, you know, easy to use and flows nicely. Because I think a big thing that we often hear is change management, and that sometimes is being able to, you know, they're nervous to add change, and I totally get that. And with, you know, with the change management, that's something that we've done a lot and we're able to really help with. And we really handhold your bookkeepers through the process so that they can feel comfortable and confident using the system. It's really something that we take a lot of pride in and is really important to us, is to help you through that change management, because we want it to be successful for everybody. So definitely something very important to us. I know we're running short on time. Tara, was there one more burning question? I know a few came in I wasn't able to answer. Curious if there's any other. Go ahead.
We have a handful, but I'll pick one.
Okay.
And any questions that we don't answer, we'll reach out to you guys personally and get those answers to you. So someone asked, what's the flow from selling to scanning to reporting? So like, how does POS at concessions all tie in?
Say that, you cut out the first little bit of that. Say that first part of the question.
What's the flow from selling to scanning to reporting, and how does POS at concessions tie in?
Okay, so when you're putting the products for sale and then you're attaching it to that GL account code, and then the person is coming in to, say, purchase a ticket at the gate, then once they're able to swipe their card and make that payment, it's going to tie back to that campaign, which would be the ticketed event or product. If you're at the concession stand and you're purchasing popcorn, then the popcorn is going to get credited as, you know, popcorn being purchased, and again tied to that product and account code. So then on the back end, you're going to be able to run reports that you'll be able to see at the end of the night exactly how many tickets were sold, whether they were cash or credit card. And then same with your concession stands, that then ties back into the inventory. If that's something you're interested in, you can see exactly how many popcorns were sold, how many Cokes were sold, and so on. That makes your reporting a lot easier there on the back end to be able to flow that all the way through. So thanks, Tara. Good question.
Yeah. Okay. I think we can do one more. Erica just submitted one.
Okay.
Sarah, you can see it.
Oh, yes. Okay. So she said, is the merging with district student information system new? We're using Givebacks, but that's not been something we were really wanting. So we work more smoothly. Having to enter and find parent emails to enter at POS hasn't been easy. Yes, it is definitely something new. We actually rolled it out with Knox County officially July 1 of this year. So very excited to say that that is a new feature that we are actively implementing in several of our current districts. So Erica, be sure to reach out to your customer success manager and they'll be able to talk more about those details if that's something you're interested in getting started. Oh, and then she asked if any school districts in California are using Givebacks. And yes, our newest, oh my gosh, Tara, we just had a new California district launch. And it is blanking for me. I should know this. I'm so sorry.
Let me see if I can find it.
Yes, Tara will go find. I have too many things running through my head, but yes, we are excited to share that we do have at least one district currently in California using Givebacks, and we're in talks with several others. So very excited about kind of the increased interest there in California. And
Santa Rosa City.
It's what?
Santa Rosa City.
Right, I knew that. Santa Rosa City. So Elena, we're happy to provide that contact information for you if you wanted to reach out to the finance team at Santa Rosa and kind of see how that's been going for them. We'll be happy to do that. And then if Shauna, one of our employees, is on the line, I've got to give you a quick little shout out. Maria from Ysleta, she said, as a new implementer, I have to say your trainings have been fantastic. Thank you so much for that, Maria. That really means a lot for us to hear. And our team really does try really hard to make our implementations and trainings successful and smooth. So kudos to you, Shauna, and the rest of the team. I think that's about our time here as far as questions are going to concern. But I do have a couple of exciting announcements to make. One being we are offering a special promotion for the end of the year. And don't worry, if you're a current customer, we have a special promotion just for you guys. You don't have to be a new customer. And so your customer success manager will be reaching out to explain more about what this year-end special promotion is for our current clients. And then also really excited about promotions that are rolling out for potential new clients. I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. Part of it is going to have to do with our rebate program, and we're going to kind of hyper incentivize the rebate, and we're going to be able to offer additional rebates even if you don't necessarily qualify. We're going to kind of hyper incentivize those, which we can explain more about later, as well as some additional discounts that we're going to be offering here between now and the end of the calendar year. So excited to share more details about that. So more to come. Stay tuned in your inbox and you'll hear more about that. The next thing I'm excited to announce is this was the first in our webinar series. And while I did a lot of talking here, hopefully I didn't bore you guys to total death. Next time, I want you to hear from our customers. I think that goes a long way when you're able to actually hear from an end user how they have implemented the system, how they have used it, specific use cases and nuances that they may have gone through. Come with questions. Ask about, how this system has worked for them, how the implementation went. Knox County will certainly be on as a panelist, and we're looking at adding 1 or 2 more panelists to that webinar as well. So save the date. That'll be Monday, November 3rd at noon Eastern, and more information and the official invitation will be coming out for that here shortly. So excited to get to hear from some customers. And lastly, once this wraps, you will receive a survey, and we're curious to hear from you. Our webinar series is new, and so we're wanting to be able to make it better and really provide what our clients and districts are interested in hearing about. So if you have some ideas of upcoming webinar topics, throw those in there. If there are things we could do better, definitely tell us that too. I'll work on my tech skills in the meantime with my screen sharing. But thanks again so much for taking the time today out of your busy schedule, and we'll be in touch, and feel free to reach out with additional questions as well. So thanks again and have a great day.